By now, you felt the disgust, the anger, the embarrassment, and maybe even some downright shame when Justin Trudeau made his secret $10.5 million payment to convicted terrorist Omar Khadr. Many of our commentators here at The Rebel and many other conservative-leaning and heck, even some mainstream journalists in the media party have outlined why this payment was so wrong, why it's angered so many Canadians, and in particular, why Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government miscalculated the reactions of Canadians so badly. Mark my words, this payment can and will be an election issue in 2019. Now, if there is one silver lining, and frankly it's hard to imagine that when our government just cut a check to someone who threw a grenade willingly at 2 US soldiers, 1 killed, 1 wounded, but maybe that silver lining is the awareness that has come surrounding how poorly wounded and killed Canadian soldiers and families are compensated. I believe it was Conservative MP Michelle Rempel who first tweeted that a Canadian soldier injured in battle gets a one-time disability award of $360,000. That's it. Well, with the media furor over the payment, one veterans group here in BC is seeking to improve the rights of injured soldiers, and that is the Equitas Society, and they put out a statement this week asking Justin Trudeau's Liberal government to, quote, uphold its obligations and respect the charter rights of Canadian disabled soldiers. And they also state they, quote, insist that the rights of disabled veterans are no less important than Mr. Khadr's or those of any other citizen, unquote. Amen to that. Unfortunately, after the previous Liberal government under Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin sent our soldiers to war in Afghanistan, they also introduced the new Veterans Charter in their final months in power in 2005. It became law under the Conservative minority that followed in 2006, but unfortunately this new charter stripped disabled veterans of lifelong disability pensions, instead opting for lump sum payments. This needs to change. The Equitas Society is one of the few veterans advocacy groups doing yeoman's work in the country. They've hosted fundraisers for our veterans over the years. But with our boys no longer on the front lines in Afghanistan and only a small number of special forces with Joint Task Force 2 seeing any combat right now, it's tough to raise awareness of veterans issues. But, like I said, I think this Khadr payment being such a slap in the face of veterans and military men and women across the country, this is the perfect time for our government and even the opposition to team up, come together, make a new plan to compensate injured soldiers and their families properly for the rest of their lives. No more of these one-time lump sum payments. You may have seen the group of veterans in Ottawa yesterday who described the Khadr payment as a slap in the face. Or you may have seen the comments of the soldier Khadr injured, Lane Morris, called Justin Trudeau a Khadr groupie. The military community is pissed off by this, and rightly so. But if you're a man around my age of somewhere between 30 and 40 years old, you should be especially offended. From the end of the Korean War in 1953 until the beginning of the Canadian involvement in the war in Afghanistan in 2002, Canadian soldiers had not seen the battlefield in a direct conflict for basically 50 years. A few peacekeeping missions with some firefights being the notable exceptions. So, that's 2 generations of Canadian men who didn't know what it was like to fight for their country. That's 50 years of families not knowing what it's like to lose a son on the battlefield. And that's 50 years where we as a country didn't care about our soldiers or the role Canada could have fighting for freedom. But that all changed. Now that 159 Canadian soldiers have lost their lives fighting against the same terrorist Omar Khadr allied with. One of the hardest things for me personally is to get over the fact I did not sign up like those 159 patriots to fight for this country I love. And it should always be a reminder to all of us in that same age range and frankly all Canadians, for those who did die, that we now take care of those who've returned, the families of those who did not. And as Canadians, we are always so generous, so we will also help those victimized by Omar Khadr. So if you have a few extra dollars to share, consider going to SpeerKids.com and support the children of Christopher Speer, the Army medic Omar Khadr killed on the battlefield. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. SpeerKids.com. Our goal is $1 million. And so far in just a few days, we've raised over $130,000 from over 2,200 patriots. Thank you so much.